We keep our minds on Project Blue Beams, New Jersey drones, spaceships in the sky, the Battle of Armageddon, demonic alien invasion, the Antichrist, and the Second Coming. How about if much of that has already happened, and the rest is happening right now, and we don't even notice? We keep our minds on Project Blue Beams, New Jersey drones, spaceships in the sky, the Battle of Armageddon, demonic alien invasion, the Antichrist, and the Second Coming. How about if much of that has already happened, and the rest is happening right now, and we don't even notice?
We are television, the biggest liars of all times. Keep controlling your mind so you keep thinking in the box we have created.
We keep our minds on Project Blue Beams, spaceships in the sky, the Battle of Armageddon, demonic, alien, invasion, the Antichrist, and the Second Coming. How about if much of that has already happened, and the rest is happening right now, and we don't even notice? Don't we see tons of reports on people seeing UFOs, Project Blue Beam and its interplaying projects? The Battle of Armageddon may be a metaphor for the war on human consciousness and increasing awareness, which is fought by giving us disinformation, where channeled entities are telling us what to think. Although they make very sure that the listeners must make up their own minds and they are really just here to inform and help. Well, if we think about it, no matter how nice they are and how much sense they make, it doesn't matter if they tell us to make up our own minds. Many of them are convincing enough that we will believe what they are saying, only because they are master manipulators, even of emotions. Isn't that true of most channeled information? And what do we recognize in that? That's right. Syrian mentality. These are the alien/demonic forces the prophecies are talking about. And Armageddon may be just the war on consciousness and not a physical war. So, according to the Bible, the satanic forces will win the Battle of Armageddon, and only the righteous will be selected to go to heaven. This could mean two things, and both would correct. First, the Syrians will harvest those whom they think will be a threat to the New World Order, and they will be both Christians. To show people that the prophecies are reliable, they sacrifice the Christians in a fake rapture, which has been the plan all along. And New Agers, who believe in the harvest and in being beamed up to higher densities, or taken off planet in spaceships, which may very well happen to some, although it will be a trap and these people will be killed. And second, those who see through all these lies will still have access to the heaven, and once again become the guardians of the living library, or return home, to the dimensions, and stay there, if they so prefer. What about the alien invasion? Surely, we haven't been invaded yet, right? Wrong. I think we have. Just as I've said throughout all these papers in Level 2, aliens travel the nano-world, and so do the Syrians, of course. What about if the invasion is happening by Syrians coming in masses, occupying selected bodies here on Earth? Some of these bodies have been prepared since long by keeping the Nephilim, Pleiadian/Syrian bloodline, pure. Others' human bodies have been manipulated over the millennia from have been abducted by everything from fairies and gnomes, in the past, to grey aliens, reptilians, Nordics and the military, in the present, taken to spaceships or down into underground facilities, to have their DNA manipulated and tampered with in order for the Syrian consciousness. Their energies are stronger than ours. So far, to be able to enter without frying the host, the human body. One way of detecting such manipulation seems to be to check the CK levels in the blood. If these are sky-high, in actuality high enough to kill a horse, and the person still lives and breathes normally on an everyday basis, the person is most certainly a hybrid. We see this in particular in the Michael Lee Hill case. I am not bluntly suggesting that all these hybrids are going to be used by dark forces, but the majority certainly are, of that I'm quite sure. These manipulated humans will then be hosts for beings of the Syrian alliance. Like I said, some of these hosts have been prepared for ages, And many of them have been possessed by Syrians for the same amount of time, but also people who are not of the Nephilim bloodline have been abducted and manipulated so that it can become a generational thing. If a person was abducted in the 1700s, his or her descendants, all the way up to present time, are probably still pure enough to be used, and by reproduction, more and more people are born to become hosts for these entities. I'm sure they are kept close track of. It is my suspicion that the invasion is now, in present time, an ongoing thing, but is yet to be completed. It looks to me that we are now either living through the tribulation, and the harvest will be later, or we are still in pre-tribulation. According to Scripture, the tribulation will last for 7 years, and the Antichrist will reign the last 3.5 or these 7 years. So this means that the Antichrist is still to show up, in whatever shape and form that will be. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person. Perhaps the passing of Sami/Nibra this time around, if such a body is actually existing as described by Sitchin and others, is solidifying the beginning of the tribulation, and the effects of the incoming will last for 7 years. Either way, I start to seriously believe that the second coming is the second coming of the Syrians, only this time it is silent and they are not letting us know like they were in ancient times, when they were worshipped as gods. The King of Kings, who will rule this world in peace for 1,000 years may be Nanner, but more likely, he will choose someone else to be the King of Kings here on earth, perhaps you two or another close relative. At this point in time, the king may not even tell us he is not human, and when his body grows old, the same being will continue reigning in a new body, perhaps as the son to the previous king. We humans may think it's a father-son thing, when in fact, it's the same person inside a new body. Then, when the 1,000 years cycle is over, 1,000 years is nothing for the Syrians, it may be time to invade Orion. We think that peace will bring happiness to the world and that peace is what we all want and need. Well, it shouldn't be, because peace is not what we want if a hidden tyrant is sitting on the world throne. I am not saying we want war either, but peace is what the Syrians wants, because if we, the masses, are at peace, that means we are not rebelling or opposing, we are obedient, peaceful slaves. Thus, the meaning of the King of Kings bringing 1,000 years of peace to the world may just as well mean that a tyrant is creating a peaceful world, where everybody is peacefully obedient. This gives another meaning to the word peace, doesn't it? The machine world is starting to rise out of the ashes from the bird phoenix, which perhaps died in 2008, with the recession and the financial meltdown. Or perhaps we are still waiting for a unifying event and a primary event, which will anchor the new world order in time and space. If so, surely the meltdown was not enough to do so. It remains to be seen. What we've discussed here above is one version of what could be going on behind the scenes, and overall, it seems to me quite plausible.